Hello and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about all the CDs that I bought today and complaining a lot about one specific one that I will get to later, and you'll just have to guess which one I'm going to complain about. But Hail to the Thief is an amazing album, as I've already stated. It's probably, in fact, my fourth favorite Radiohead album out of all of them, and yes, I've listened to all of their albums, and yeah, this is a fantastic record from front to back. I haven't listened to the CD in full yet, but I have listened to the digital version many times, and yeah, it's an amazing record. It really combines the amazing elements from like Kid A and the more electronic stuff to their more rock-oriented stuff like OK Computer, and really combines that to make a fantastic politically driven album. And then we have my third favorite Radiohead album, which is A Moon-Shaped Pool, and another thing, I really love how the album cover looks and just how beautifully just art is. It's amazing. And it's a very personal record to Tom York, and you can really tell it's very beautiful. And I think that's the key word for this album. It's just fucking beautiful. It's great. It's just extremely emotional. It's just kind of heartbreaking. It's probably their saddest record. And no, it's not probably. It is their saddest record, and it's amazing for that. But then we have Chaos and Creation in the Backyard by Paul McCartney. And honestly, I've only listened to Ram, Band on the Run, this album, of course, and McCartney 2. But out of all those so far, I'm sorry, but I'll probably have to say that this is my second favorite. I know you probably think I would say like Band on the Run, but I honestly think this is my second favorite. Maybe that opinion will change later on. But yeah, this is a fantastic album with a lot of acoustic guitar and piano. And I really just love it from front to back. It's just a fantastic record, as I've already said with like a million other records. But yeah, this is just an amazing record. I really love Nigel's production on this. And if Nigel Godrich sounds familiar, it's because, you know, he produced the Radiohead albums, which is also a familiarity with Radiohead that you see on this album as well. I'm sorry, I fucked up my wording. But yeah, there's a real sense of familiarity with like Radiohead you really get on this album. It really, some of the songs really feel like have that Hail to the Thief vibe on them, which is really cool, and I really love that. But then we have my last album that I got, and the one I'm gonna complain about a lot, which is John Lennon Plastic Ono Band. And I'm not going to complain about the album itself, because honestly, it's a 10 out of 10 album. If I were to rank these albums from front to back for all of these, I would say this is a 10 out of 10. This is probably an 8.5 out of 10. Maybe a 9. Probably 8.5. A Moon-Shaped Pool is honestly a 9 out of 10. Hail to the Thief is probably an 8.5 out of 10. But this is a 10 out of 10. Honestly, this is a 10 out of 10 from front to back, and it is a beautiful, very emotional, very honest. This is probably the most honest record I've ever listened to, and it is extremely emotional from front to back. But what I didn't know when I got this record at the record store is that I bought the original 1970 mix. I thought I got the 2010 remaster, but I probably should have looked on the back where it says that it was produced the original sound recording in 1970. I probably should have looked at that before buying it, but I got it anyways. And another thing that kind of bugs me is that there's just a kind of generic ass font on the album cover, just kind of plastered on there. It's annoying. It just kind of bugs me. But the biggest problem I have with this mix is that it's just kind of it's just kind of quiet. For example, the vocals on Mother, the starting track, are just pretty quiet on this mix, and I get that it was due to the limitations of the time the album came out, how it came out in 1970, as I already showed you, and there was a lot of limitations back then. But I really do think that, yeah, the vocals are a little bit quiet, and also just the songs themselves on the entire record just are very quiet, and I get that it was, again, due to limitations, but it still is just kind of jarring. Going from pretty consistent, like, loudness on all these records to just really quiet, to the point where I just have to, like, turn it up for this record specifically, and it's just kind of tedious and annoying. But it's still pretty well mixed. And yeah, it's a great record. And it's still amazing to have this in the first place because I haven't listened to this mix at all. I've only listened to the 2010 remaster and the ultimate mixes. So, or God, voice crack. But yeah, it's just cool to have this. And it's just now I can listen to all the mixes of this album. But if I were to get a mix of this album, I would probably get the 2010 remaster. But I do have my own problems with the ultimate mixes and the 2010 remaster. But I'll talk about the 2010 remaster first. So I think there's too much white noise, and I get that they had to mix it louder, and I like that it's mixed a lot louder. That's really good. And as I said, I feel like this was too quiet. And yeah, I feel like the volume is now pretty consistent across all the songs now. And now I don't have to like change the volume or anything for this specific album on the 2010 remaster, but the white noise is pretty apparent. Well, not the white noise, most of the tape hiss is pretty apparent, especially on the starting one on the starting track. No, on yeah, kind of on the starting track on Mother, where it's kind of a loop where it's just a loop of like the bells chiming. You can really hear the white noise and like the static and those bell chimes, and also the on like the starting track, for example, Love, when it's like very quiet and it's like fading in to the song, you can really hear the tape hiss. And that's just due to mixing it louder, and I get that, but it's still just kind of annoying. I feel like they could have probably done something to maybe minimize that a little bit, or at least like put a white. I don't know what they could have done, but at least done something because yeah, it's pretty apparent on some tracks. But there's also some problems I have with the ultimate mixes, which is the primary way I listen to the album, but I still have my own problems. First of all, I feel like it's a little bit too compressed. I really love how clear John's vocals sound, and I feel like that was also a problem with the 2010 remaster. I feel like John's vocals were a little bit kind of muffled on some tracks and like not super loud in the mix, or not super loud, but just kind of quiet in the mix. But yeah, I feel like they're mixed pretty well here on the ultimate mixes, and John's vocals are extremely clear. But I feel like again the it's just kind of compressed, and I feel like they could have done with a little bit less compression. But the biggest problem I have is honestly not with the mixes themselves, but with how they're ordered, especially on CD. Now, what I'm talking about is the track ordering for how each song goes into the next, and like how they're actually ordered in the actual album. But that's where I have the problem with the ultimate mixes, because on CD, where I can find them all online, where I can only find them online, the problem is that there's like three singles at the end of the album just kind of tacked on as bonus tracks. And while the singles are good, I feel like they aren't a good closing to the album because they weren't meant to close out the album. They weren't meant to close out the album. My Mummy's Dead is a perfect closer and was supposed to be the album closer. So why tack those on right at the end when it doesn't make a lot of sense? Yes, they're singles. Yes, they were made at the time the album came out, but it doesn't make fucking sense because they weren't originally put on the album. So why? Oh, it bugs me. And again, the ultimate mixes are the primary way I listen to the album. So if I want to get the CD, I have to get the three bonus tracks tacked on at the end. It's just, it's annoying. And the worst part about it is that this isn't even consistent. On the 2018 Ultimate Mixes for Imagine, which I'm going to get as well, and I couldn't find on my record store, which is kind of, or in my record store, which is kind of annoying. But, which is kind of a bummer. Not annoying, but just kind of a bummer. And I get why I couldn't find it, because a lot of people want Imagine specifically, because it's very popular. But yeah, it's just kind of, it's just kind of a bummer. But yeah, well, the ultimate mixes, again, the 2018 mixes, on the single disc version of Imagine, it has a bunch of singles released at the time of Imagine on that album, right at the end, again, which is annoying. But on the deluxe edition, for some reason, it has the original track listing. It ends with Oh Yoko like it was supposed to be. So why is it inconsistent? It makes no sense. Ugh, I'm fucking bummed out about that. But if I were to get Plastic Ono Band by John Lennon, I would probably just get the 2010 remaster, and I'm probably just gonna get that. But again, it's just kind of a bummer, man. Yeah, that's basically it. I know I've repeated myself a lot, but that's because I just have a lot to say. But yeah, that's basically it, and I will see you guys later. Goodbye.